Okay, Tammy, we're ready to start.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. So good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I hope you guys had a great holiday. So welcome to our first web share for 2017, and the topic today is going to be Tableau Integration with CA PPM 14.2, presented by Lawrence Rizzo. And I'm going to give you a little background on him, but just for some housekeeping, once we go through the presentation, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A chat, and I'll be monitoring it. So when Lawrence wants to take a break and ask if anybody has any questions, I'll go through that box. But let's talk a little bit about Lawrence. Lawrence is a seasoned IT professional with over 25 years of IT experience. He's been working with MSO space the past 14 years, time Warner Cable and Cablevision. And his focus for the last 4 years has been in integration of CA PPM within Cablevision PMO. He's a people leader that understands the relationship between people, process, and technology that is required from strong and efficient teams that deliver results time and again. So I would like to pass over the baton to Lawrence Rizzo. Lawrence?
Hey, thank you, Tammy, and I appreciate that introduction there. Thank you so much. So good morning, folks. Again, Lawrence Rizzo. I'm Director of Business Operations for Altice USA, and what we're going to give an overview today of is, at a business level, how we went ahead and integrated Tableau with our current production instance of PPM, which is version 14.2. So to take you through a couple of things, what we're going to cover in this overview, and I know you probably all want to get to the bullet that says demonstration, but what we'll do is we'll give you a little bit of overall what our team's mission is here at Altice USA. And you'll probably say, hey, that's a lot like our mission and what we do on a daily basis. But we want to give you an overview of our mission, what our current deployment status is or state of our deployment in within Altice USA today, what is our roadmap for 2017 as a team and as a company for the PPM, our PPM solution. We'll then cover Tableau integration, the purpose and process, you know, the why we did it and how we go about, or how we went about doing it. We'll cover a high-level design, and when I say high-level, yeah, it's going to be very high-level because we're going to keep this as business discussion. Then we'll jump into a demo of the metrics dashboard that's connected to between our Jasper data warehouse and Tableau. And then we'll have some time at the end to take some questions. So we'll just jump right in here and cover our core mission. So our core mission is providing decision support to our corporate users and our business partners across the enterprise. And we do that by leveraging the central data repository within CA PPM, because as we all know, that is a great decision support database. It takes a wealth of information from projects and programs, and even rolled up at the portfolio level, which can help identify areas of opportunity, be able to optimize performance, and recognize organizational success. And it's great to have something that will substantiate organizational success, whether it be an on-time deployment that met your budget or and then exceeds expectations, or even where we're able to point out, hey, wait a second, based upon the forecast and what we're seeing, we may want to shift our attention to other initiatives within the portfolio and stop work. And that's opportunity. So we leverage PPM just for those instances and how we can bring decision support to our leadership at the company. Our current deployment state, so again, we're at 14.2 in our production environment. We have 3 environments in total that we manage within the enterprise. We have a development environment, and in that environment, we have 15.1 today. In our UAT environment, it matches our production environment at 14.2, and we maintain that to be hot swappable in the event of some sort of failure on the production instance. We can always make our UAT available to production, and in the instance where we want to conduct an upgrade, what we'll do is we will run our upgrade in UAT and convert UAT to be our production environment, and we revert our production environment back to UAT, and we then upgrade that. So it minimizes our upgrade time and focuses on a DNS swap, so that we're just making a network change to bring our production environment into use, and we don't have to go through taking down the system for several days. That's been pretty effective. We host it on premise. Right now, we're fluctuating. We're at 1,900 plus users. We expect to be close to 2,500 by midpoint this year, and from there we'll see if we stay on premise or if we're going to go to multiple. If we're going to need a large number of additional licenses, we may consider moving to the cloud. Our infrastructure is scalable for up to 10,000 users, and we have a lot of our users today are very comfortable using the technology, so we're not looking to change technologies. We receive approximately 30 enhancement requests per month. Those can come in the form of, we'd like to pilot a new module within the system, such as release management, or they come in as new report requests. We do that, we handle our product backlog in sprints. We do 26 sprints a year, and we do all of our work agile. We have 6 work streams in which we group our work, and that's under pipeline, systems integration, financials, onboarding, user experience, and analytics. And the roadmap is set up just in that way. So you'll see our work streams for 2017 and going into Q1 of 18, and you'll see the work within our work streams and what we anticipate on accomplishing this year. Some of the key things are things that our leadership is looking for this year are scorecards, metrics, KPI, ways to measure performance, and reward improvement. So that brings us to Tableau integration and the purpose. So the things you're seeing on this screen for our PPM community, there's nothing new here, but we're gonna just talk about it for a minute. So PPM, we know the inputs: project management, resource management, financial management, ideation, the ability to estimate work, application portfolio management, and labor collection. It's truly a business platform, not just a project management tool, and that's something that always gets the hairs on the back of my neck standing up when people say, oh, it's a project management tool. Why would we spend so much time and invest so much in a project management tool? It's not. It is a business platform, and we position it that way within our enterprise, and we take that platform to and push it to deliver as much value as we can. And looking at all of these inputs, we all know there's a lot of value there. the challenging part is the outputs that PPM provides you. And I'm sure a lot of people are on mute right now, nodding and smiling at that. But we know we have portfolios. We know we have the features available now in advanced reports with the Jasper data warehouse. And we have our reports and jobs, which is ultimately will be deprecated going into future releases and focus purely on the Jasper data warehouse. And we have our dashboards, which we can create, and we have our portlets. But Jasper, from our perspective, Jasper reporting requires some niche skill sets. It requires expertise in the Jasper space. There's a development cycle where if you don't have those expertise, you got some hit and miss. And we're not talking about the ad hoc reports right now. We're talking about actually getting into Jasper Studio and writing a report. And you could have a Java background, but Java itself isn't going to cut it. From our enterprise IT group, and we're part of IT, we're not prepared to support Jasper reporting right now. I haven't met many folks today at their companies within the community that are ready to jump in and start writing Jasper Studio reports either. Now, that's not a bad thing. It becomes a bottleneck to that enhancement pipeline that, at least from our perspective here, when we're getting 30-plus enhancement requests per month, and many times we're getting asks for new reports, and some of those are just for departments, and we can certainly use ad hoc reporting, and we train them on how to utilize ad hoc reporting to build those reports. But that look and feel from a real, from an enterprise level report compared to an ad hoc report, that's missing. So the Jasper reporting, it's a tough nut to crack on our side today. So how did we go about landing on Tableau? Well, the easiest way to answer that question is we have enterprise licensing here for Tableau. So it was very cost effective to go to Tableau. We did consider other potential solutions like iDashboards, but Tableau made the most sense. Our IT group was ready and able to support Tableau integration. And the learning curve for our team here, and specifically, I'll mention his name, Joe Cruz, our senior analyst. The learning curve was not the same as it was for Jasper. Joe, the senior analyst, he jumped in with our partners, Rizzo Consulting, and I want to mention that we've worked with them, and they've done a great job working with us. And they have some work, and I'll recognize them here and what they did with our Tableau integration. That Joe sat down with them and did some training on how to utilize Jasper Studio. And he came back and said, there's got to be a better way. And so Joe and I spent the time looking at options. We looked at Tableau, and he said, hey, Tableau is really based on standard business tools. It works a lot like Excel. It has drag and drop components, and it functions like ad hoc reporting in PPM. And Joe is very comfortable with those tools. So we said, all right, let's give this a try. And again, Tableau supported rapid deployment for both the KPI and visualization of the data. And as any self-managing team would work, I said, Joe, how much time do we need to get this done? He said, I think I need 10 weeks. And I said, as any good manager does, I'm going to give you 5. And we delivered this in 5 weeks to the production environment. So let's talk about our process of connecting. We don't connect Tableau to the transactional DB. We're connected to the data warehouse. We worked with Rizzo, and they did some of the work for us in terms of developing a custom table to handle this data for the year, and that data is purged on a yearly basis. We offload it, so we can do some historical reporting if we want to look at the metrics year over year. So we have the table set up, and we update that table daily. We do it, I believe, twice a day, once at 11 a.m. and once on the overnight, so that we can have as much real-time data as we want to have. Right now, we're not looking at updating the frequency, but maybe mid-year after we've rolled out some SDLC dashboards we've been asked to look at, and some other metrics for performance as an organization, we may increase that to up to between 4 and 6 times per day. One thing we decided on doing was having all of our metrics calculations take place in the query, where it's doing the insert to the data warehouse from the transactional DB. We did not want to do any calculations at the front end, so this way we could have a very snappy front end and responsive to user clicks. We also created a metric domain within the Jasper data warehouse. And you may ask, why we do that if the data is all on the table? Well, again, we have ad hoc reporting available, and we wanted to keep it simple. If one of our users didn't want to go to, Tableau lets you print right from the front end. It lets you print the report. But if one of our users wanted to create their own view of that data, we wanted to make sure that the pre-calculated data was available to them in this metric domain, and then they could drag and drop and add it to a report versus having to go and find it and add it from another domain where it may exist. So we created a metric domain specific, and it's available to our users for that purpose. Okay. I promised you a high-level architecture overview. I don't know if it gets more high-level than this, but basically Tableau, our data warehouse connects to Tableau. Tableau we're using for our portals and dashboards, our scorecards, and we can generate reports on the drill down. Now, if folks have technical questions, I think my email will be shared. Feel free to send them over to me, or you can reach out to me, give me a call. For the purpose here, we're going to keep this, again, it's a business tool, Tableau. We're going to keep it at a business conversation, but I'm more than happy to get into the technology and deep dive on, connection strings and things like that outside the context of the overview today. All right, now we're going to get into what we did. Now we've covered what we did, why we did it, how we're going about it, and we're going to show you this in our production environment today. So you just give me a second as I click over to the demo. Okay. Right now, I'm sharing my desktop, and you will see our PPM metrics dashboard. I'm going to open this up so we have more projects in the overall. Okay. So you'll see our 4 core metrics we look at is project health, resource utilization, schedule compared to baseline, and budget, current budget versus current spend and the variance. So again, this does not require a PPM license, and we can, all those users that fit in the the license category of locked accounts. This is a business tool. We don't have to coach a senior vice president on how to log into CA PPM and how to get to look at what's my project performance, what's my portfolio performance, what is my program performance, and have to click through PPM to get there. They can simply look at the green projects and say, I've got 109 overall projects that are doing well, and I can drill down and look at the status by stage and status schedule by launch month, and I can see the project status of green, where no risks, or maybe I have a risk, and the current status. Your mouse overs are pulling in data from PPM's data warehouse, and you can print it, you can subscribe to the dashboard, and if anything changes, you'll be receiving an alert to the dashboard. And there's a lot of data here for you to process and think through. Clearly going through it right now on the screen, you know, I'm sure that some folks are looking at this going, this could fit. I wonder how this could fit. So it all starts, of course, with requirements. And if you want to go about that, we'll talk about that a little bit later, about how we went through our requirements gathering. So that's our health dashboard. You know, we can look at, we have here our legend, our green, our ambers, our reds, what's been completed, what's on hold, what has no status, and projects that were canceled. Even on the mouse over here, so we could see that 109 projects represent roughly 30% of the overall portfolio value, and they're in a green state. Our resource utilization, we're looking at allocation and actuals over allocation. So right away, we can see potential bottlenecks where senior developers have charged actuals against allocations. And when we want to take a look at some of these projects that are either in the red status or potentially in the no status or haven't started yet, it may be, again, something here where it's an opportunity to say, hey, wait, you know, staffing plan, having that discussion with the SVPs in the room and putting this up on the screen, they're able to digest this information very quickly. Our schedule to baseline, on this one I'm going to click on the green. So this shows our schedule data after baseline snapshot, and you'll see how it's pulling in data from PPM with respect to schedule variance. We have our initial dates and our baseline finish and where we are in respect to our baseline finish. This project came in 76 days early. This one here came in a little bit late. Well, 274 days. But you can see this right here, and this is great for transparency. Our budget versus spend. Our current budget is in the gray. That's our approved budget from when project kicked off, showing current spend. So something tells me that if we were to look at this project or program's budget and look at that spend, and we were to look at some of those projects, we may see some of those projects in the red or amber category. We can change this we can change the overall view by changing the different portfolios. So the aggregate view of 376 projects. That's the portfolio of portfolio view. We can drill down to just the individual portfolios as well. We see we have 40 projects in the product portfolio. In our operations portfolio, we have 61 projects. In our enterprise IT, we have 243. We can actually jump down and go into a program view, and we'll just look at, say, this program view, and it will slice and dice the data for us to look at what's available in just the programs. And we can also say, let's just sort here and show me just the green within the product portfolio, show me just what we completed in the portfolio. And again, once we're here, we can drill down and show the status on the completed work. We can download the dashboard, and because I have admin rights, I have the ability to edit, but every user, the everyday user does not have that edit tab available to them. Now these quadrants update in relation to, as I'm using the status dropdown. So the projects on hold, all of these are updated with respect to what's on hold. And again, this is all pulling against our data warehouse. And if any of our users want to go ahead and run a report, they can again use the metric domain, which mirrors this data from the table, but it provides it already calculated for use in just drag and drop. Okay. So now I'm going to go back over to our PowerPoint, and I'm going to talk for one more minute before we go into questions. And I've asked Joe, our senior analyst, who worked on this with me, to join us in case there's a question or two where he has some input to provide as well. But from a requirements standpoint, our process was to define the requirements through meetings and requirement sessions with senior management. We took those requirements. Of course, we documented the requirements, reviewed the requirements, received sign-off on the written requirements, and then we went into prototyping these dashboards. We did the prototypes utilizing common tools, Excel and PowerPoint. And then we brought those, we received sign-off on our prototypes, and then we implemented them in Tableau, and that all took place within that 5-week period. So the real work took place to develop it in Tableau. We're going to say for those 4 dashboards and their drill downs, we're talking about 240 to 300 hours worth of work there, and about 100+ hours in requirements to get us where we wanted to be and get it done in 5 weeks. So at that point, or at this point, I'm going to say, Tammy, we can go to any questions folks may have, or if there's anything else that they'd like to review, we can go back into the demo. But I think that gave a nice overview of how it can be done. And again, we did this with version 14.2 in our production environment. And I know from CA World that one of the features in 15.2 is the ability to integrate with Tableau. We just did it before it became a feature.
Thank you, Lawrence. We do have a question from Mike Stuntz. Did you consider just using the default Jasper Soft Warehouse collections, and why didn't you?
Well, one key thing was being able to calculate the metrics on the insert coming from the transactional database. We wanted to really focus on putting all of that at the back end and not having anything to calculate before it comes into Tableau. So that was primarily our reasoning for creating the new table and inserting at that level versus using the tables as they exist and doing calculations potentially at the front end.
That's all that we have for questions in the Q&A box. I don't know if anybody has any other questions. We can give it a moment, a couple of minutes. If not, then what we'll do is we're going to share this recording via the community site in addition to Lawrence's information. If you guys have any questions, you can simply email him. And I think, just to confirm, Lawrence, you said it was okay to share your email, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Still no questions, so I think we're just going to kind of wrap it up, and we just want to thank everyone for...
Tammy.
Yes, Chris.
Sorry, this is Chris. Actually, 2 more questions just came in. 3 more questions.
Oh, wow. Hi, I like it. So, Michael Brunnack, how is security handled between Tableau and CA PPM?
So in terms of security, so login, or I think we can talk about login authentication. We have a default account that Tableau is using to connect to Clarity for authentication, and it's Tableau authenticating, not each user. So that's how we're handling it. We're handling it in that respect. And then we can share the different dashboards. That's how the security is handled.
Okay, perfect. Another question, Tony Jasper, from Tony Jasper, I'm sorry. Did you consider any other reporting/BI solutions such as OBI, EE, or Microsoft BI?
We wanted to leverage really so being cost conscious and fiscally responsible, we wanted to leverage what we've already invested in. So the Jasper data warehouse already being part of the solution made the most sense versus going to a third option. And again, originally before we landed on Tableau, we did look at other potential front end or GUI solutions, but made the choice of Tableau again because we had enterprise licensing and it was cost effective. So the short answer, if you were talking to me and say, why'd you do this way? Because it was the most cost effective way to do it and the easiest way for us to do it.
Okay, we have another question from Michael Brunnack. Can Tableau connect to the CA PPM transactional database if necessary?
Sure you can, but we wouldn't recommend anything connecting to the transactional DB because that'll hit performance and potentially affect your users.
That's fine.
Go ahead, Joe. Joe's here.
That's why we created some of the tables, some of the portfolio metrics and the targets that are available in the portfolio aren't in the data warehouse, so we created custom objects off of those, off of the project object and the portfolio object to capture that data, to put it in the data warehouse so that we didn't have to hit the transactional tables.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question from Stephen Scales. What will the CA feature include for Tableau connectivity beyond just allowing it to connect to Jasper Warehouse?
I can't speak to 15.2. We have 15.1 in our development environment, and that doesn't have the new feature for the Tableau integration. So I would recommend Stephen sending that one up to maybe Chris to escalate back to CA.
Yeah, that might be a question to post in the communities for one of the product managers or one of the support folks to answer.
Yes, I agree. We have a question from Joe Park, a couple of questions actually. What is the drag and drop functionality you mentioned? And he requested, can you demo that?
So that's in the Tableau Studio or Tableau development interface. And Joe, if you'd like to contact me, drop me a note after this. We're not going to open up Tableau and start showing how it's connected and how Tableau works. So feel free to drop me a note and we can talk about that one offline, but that's a great opportunity and maybe further discussions. But I think, Tam, you said there were other questions he had as well?
Yes. No, that was the second part was could you demo it, but you answered that.
Okay.
So the next question is from Iqbal Khan. Please talk a little bit more about custom data structure created in GW and what was the need to do that?
So if I understand the question correctly, the data structure you're referring to would be the new table we created versus just having the data insert into data warehouse tables that existed already. Again, we wanted the calculations for these metrics done. These metrics themselves don't exist, or the final values don't exist in the math involved. Doesn't exist in Clarity. It's not in Clarity. It's not being done when the PM or the resource manager is putting in their capacity data and we're trying to calculate how many days late or how much information has to be used in the calculation. PPM isn't doing that for us. We're doing that on the insert query to this table versus just having it done at the front end. So again, it all ties to the user experience and performance, and we wanted to ensure a very positive user experience. And I will say, if you were to ask me, why are you hung up on the user experience, I will say that anyone in my role gets tired of hearing about how tough it is and how non-user friendly the front end of PPM can be. So we wanted to introduce a user experience that execs would be familiar and comfortable with, and would be responsive and snappy when loading a lot of data at the front end very quickly. But that's a great question. Thank you.
Any more questions? Again, please use the Q&A chat. Iqbal was the last question that we had so far. Okay, with that being said.
Hi, Tammy. Tammy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, I didn't enter. This is Denise from PPM Product Management. I didn't log anything in Q&A, but I thought I could contribute a couple of things, if that's okay.
Yes.
Talking about the Tableau.
Yes, thank you, Denise.
Okay. The first thing is kudos for how you've done this. I'm listening to what you did about doing the warehouse and doing the custom object to feed the warehouse so that those calculations were all done from a performance standpoint. That's a great approach and not hitting the transactional schema. So kudos for your implementation. I'm sure you're reaping the benefits of that. The future direction that we're going with Tableau isn't to deliver like an out-of-box integration to Tableau, like how we have integrated to Jasper Soft. What we found is that our SaaS customers want a way to access our data from other BI products like Power BI or Tableau or any other cloud reporting product they might want. So what we're delivering, or what we're planning on delivering, is some way for us to present our data from the data warehouse to customers to use, to our SaaS customers to use those other reporting solutions if they choose to implement them. So if you have a Tableau implementation, you could, and you're a SaaS customer, you could connect that to the data warehouse in SaaS and it would work. Today, that doesn't work with SaaS because you have to have a VPN connection to get to the data. So that solution that we're doing is really targeted towards SaaS, and that's what we're delivering. We're not going to integrate to a lot of different BI products. We're going to make our data warehouse available so you can use any product that you choose if it works with our connection mechanism through SaaS. So because on-premise customers today can connect, the data warehouse to whatever reporting product they'd like to use. So I just wanted to kind of give some insight into directionally what we're doing. It's something we think is going to be, really valuable to our SaaS customers. Okay? That was all, Tammy. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Denise. So no more questions in the Q&A. Lawrence, do you have anything to say after Denise's input, or?
Yeah, no, that was, I appreciate that, Denise, and yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to getting 15.2 into our development environment and looking at that and seeing how we're going to leverage and maybe even improve performance further with the connection possibilities. And Tammy, I want to thank you and Chris for giving us an opportunity to share what we did in our environment with the community. And again, feel free to share my email, and anyone that wants to follow up directly, I'll get to it as soon as I can. And emails don't go ignored, so you'll definitely hear back from us.
Well, we have one more question from
okay.
How often is your data refreshed from transaction DB to the data warehouse?
2 times a day, 11 a.m. and on the overnight.
And overnight, great. Okay. Perfect. So we're going to give people 15 minutes back of their day, and hopefully we should have the recording, I would say, either by the end of the day or by Monday. And I'll post it to the community, or Chris will post it to the community in addition to Lawrence's email information. So I want to thank everyone for attending, and we look forward to you participating in our next web share. Have an awesome Friday.
Yeah, everybody have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks.